if you finally want to start winning more games as well as enjoy the games that you play, the Sicilian defense is the perfect opening for you. And this is the open Sicilian. I want to show you how to play against it and beat everyone you play against. So we start with the move d6, they play d4, we take the pawn, then we play knight to f6, we immediately attack this pawn, and here I suggest this move knight to c6. This is called the classical Sicilian. This is a very interesting opening. There are different moves for white. They play bishop e3 here. But the point is, we don't play the dragon, which is like crazy, super complicated. Yet we still have all of the advantages of the Sicilian. It's not a balanced position, so it gives us the opportunity to outplay our opponent easily. Yet it's not super complicated. We don't need to memorize like millions of different lines. By the way, if you want to build a complete opening repertoire both for white and black, I have an amazing offer on my 10-day opening mastery course right now. Not only you get a huge discount, but also a full month of live coaching with me is included, so that you can try the lines that you learn in the course in your games, and then I'm gonna personally analyze those games and tell you my feedback of what you are doing right and wrong. Make sure not to miss the opportunity. The link would be in the description. Okay, so bishop e3 is not one of the moves that they are supposed to play, because bishop g5 is the main line. I'm kind of started to play the Sicilian, so I actually don't remember this move. I think because knight g4 might be very annoying. Like, yes, you can start to play this whole setup with the move f3. That's another story. Then we play the move e5, but bishop e3 immediately. I'm not even sure. Like, queen a5 doesn't make any sense, because they're gonna play f3 and continue their play. But what do you want to do if I just play knight g4? Do you just waste your time? You don't want to play g6, because then you walk straight back into the dragon territory, which we don't want to. So I think I'm gonna try to take advantage of this move and play knight g4. I don't see any problem with that. Knight takes, I'm gonna just take it back. This is like never ever scary for you. And otherwise, if we can play g6, bishop g7 and avoid this dragon thing with f3, bishop e3, queen d2 plan, then we are good to go. But yeah, the problem is that is normally too risky. Let's see what's gonna happen this time. Bishop f4 is not possible. We can just take it and then play e5, forking both of the pieces. That seems to work. So bishop g5 now would be a little bit weird, right? Because we can just play h6 in a situation where they cannot take our knight. So where d2 is also not possible, the knight is hanging. Where should this bishop go? Back to c1? I mean, that is definitely not so great. Although maybe it's not gonna change much. Like, we play knight g4, they play bishop c1. If we play g6, they can go f3, knight f6, and then we are straight back into the dragon, which I want to avoid. So bishop c1, maybe this is just a draw offer, which we also don't want to take, because we play the Sicilian, like the biggest advantage of this opening. It just eliminates all of the possibilities for our opponent to make a draw, to have a simple position where it's easy for them to play. Instead, we immediately create this imbalance. We immediately create those chances to be as active as possible and create problems for our opponent. So we are going to be looking for ways. For example, after the move bishop c1, I'm thinking queen b6 would have been a very nice option, maybe just winning the game. Because if you take my knight, that would be queen takes f2 checkmate. And otherwise, if the knight is hanging, yeah, I think that was a problem. So the bishop cannot really easily leave the e3 square, which means this move bishop e3 is just bad. You see how immediately, with just one inaccuracy from your opponent, reasonably solid move, you can overtake the initiative and create a huge trouble for him. All right, bishop e5. This is not a move we want to ignore, because this is quite a serious thing. Although we have an easy way to deal with it, bishop d7. But our knight might be vulnerable in some cases. Like, if you ever take with the bishop, that knight would be hanging. Let's start with the most active move, knight takes c3. Can we get away with it? Knight takes c6. If we take it back, that wouldn't be good for us, because to say the least, we are gonna lose a pawn there. So knight takes c3, knight takes. What if we take the queen? They have to take the queen, otherwise they're just a queen down, and then we just take it back. And as a result of all of that, we are going to have a pair of bishops and zero problems. You might say, yeah, the king cannot castle, but without the queens on the board, the king doesn't have to castle. In fact, it would be pretty good there. So I think I'm going to go for it. If they take with the bishop, well, that's not a problem. Just take it back. Otherwise, if they just take it back and cripple their pawn structure like that, and we have a pair of bishops, this is like a dream outcome of the opening. We are going to achieve our goal. That is why I like this opening so far, so much, especially if you play against low-rated opponents, because this is the best opportunity to outplay them. Frankly, anyone like below 2300, our opponent is even a candidate master, a very experienced title player, yet seems like he's getting into trouble. I mean, to say the least, after knight c6 and knight takes d8, we are gonna have a very pleasant endgame, probably just better for black. So if that's the least we can get as black after the opening, this is just a dream. Okay, but I'm also wondering, do I have any better opportunity? So takes, as I mentioned, he's gonna just take everything with the check and then take back. Yes, I do have a compensation. Those pawns are ugly, but like, why do I need to go for a pawn down if I can avoid that? If I play queen to b6, that doesn't seem to be great because he has like knight d4 back with the check. I don't like it. I think I'm gonna just take. Hopefully I'm not blundering anything, like any discover checks apart from taking the queen. Actually, that's not that stupid. Knight d5, because my king has nowhere to hide, so I have to play bishop d7, and then he can take here, I take it back, and that's going to be an exchange. But again, I'm left with the bishop against the knight. No real problems, maybe a slight development disadvantage. But, I mean, it can never be bad for me, so let's go for it. Yes, he goes for the immediate takes, but that is even better, I thought, because now I maintain the two bishops advantage. Now, it's a very cool one, but it's important to use it the right way, because a lot of people struggle with it. They're like, okay, I have two bishops, but I never can get anything out of it. Let me demonstrate how exactly you put that into your advantage. Also, we have this endgame, I would call it, with a lot of pieces on the board, which is incredibly instructive for you to learn how to play it, how to beat your opponent. Because right now, we like haven't developed any of our pieces at all. This is not a great situation. How do we get out of it? I think we can start by playing a6. We are getting a tempo, we are attacking the bishop. If he goes here, I just want to play e6, and then continue with b5 and putting this bishop on the long diagonal. That feels very good. e6 I want to play anyway, because I want to stop this knight from going to d5. And if I combine it with the move a6, then this knight has 0 moves to go forward. So that's exactly what I'm doing, and e5 is not really dangerous for me, because I can simply play d5. Yes, the pawn is pinned, but like I'm gonna go away with the king later on and no problems. Alternatively, I can just ignore it and play king to c7. Takes, I'm gonna just take it back because I have a pair of bishops. In such a situation, it's really great for you to open up the position. So your bishops are really great. For example, one bishop is on d6, then I play b5, and the second one would be on b7, and that is fantastic. And then, of course, just bring your rook. So here, strategically, I'm doing much better. I'm just better than my opponent. In terms of pieces development, right now, of course, I have a disadvantage. He has developed 3 pieces, I have developed 0. So I have to catch up with that. I have just to be, because we have an endgame, it's not that dangerous. Like if you have the queens on the board in a situation where you haven't developed any of your pieces, whereas your opponent is much more prepared for the attack, that is very dangerous. Without the queens, you can tolerate much more, because like there is no way to create dangerous threats for me. Yet, still, we don't want to go on with this situation. We want to improve. We want to get our pieces into the game. For example, I can now play the move b5 as I wanted. I actually expected him to kind of stop me with the move a4, but that is also not a problem. We can just play b6 and bishop b7 anyway. But here we do it with the tempo. Yes, bishop b7. Still, this e5 move is not a problem. Just king c7, continuing our idea. And I think we want to play king to c7 anyway. So e5 just helps us to open up the position, which is great for the side with 2 bishops. And this bishop at b3, like, this is just stupid piece. Maybe, well, maybe it's not going to be stupid if you play f4 and f5. That is That is a very reasonable plan that probably my opponent should go for. But he cannot just ignore what I'm doing here, because with the move bishop to b7, I kind of created a threat. I want to play b4, attack this guy, and then once the knight is gone, I'm gonna grab the pawn absolutely for free. So it's not something you can tolerate. Once my bishop is on e4, I can support it with d5, and then I'm good to go. Yes, so he plays rook e1, but now this f4, f5 pawn plan without the rook is not that great. All right, I think I should just continue with king to c7. If he plays f4 now, I can just play g6, and once we exchange those pawns, this bishop is going to be super dangerous, and I can connect my rook to attack and create my counterplay. Even though, I mean, this is still a little bit annoying. Maybe I could have played g5 to stop that. Like, if he wants to continue the plan, he has to play g3, but then we are going to open up the g file, which is really good for me. The more pawns I can exchange here, the better it gets, because my bishops are going to be more and more powerful. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I like the move g5. It stops that, and it opens up my bishop to the long diagonal, which is also great. Let's see if he plays f4, or he gives me another chance to play g5. I mean, I played king to c7. That is a very useful move. You can't really blame me for that. Going away from this pin, from this very dangerous file, protecting the d6 pawn does help me quite a lot. Okay, a4, he plays on a different side of the board. Yeah, this is, I mean, also reasonable. He probably wants to open up stuff on this side of the board, because he feels he has a development advantage, which is correct, and he wants to take advantage of that, maybe get to my key. So I have a choice. I can play b4, knight a2 and a5, or I can just play bishop c6 and defend the pawn like that. Maybe that is even better, because if he takes, he's gonna open up the a file, which I control. I cannot really use it at the moment. But like, I don't really see any disadvantages. Whereas if I play b4 and a5, he can play c3, again attacking that guy, and if I take, then this c file is opening up. He can immediately play rook c1 and rook takes c3. And this knight, also knight takes back to c3 and knight to b5. Remember, if I play b4 and a5, this b5 square would be vulnerable. And that's what I have started with. I wanted to limit this knight's potential as much as possible. You always think about your opponent's counterplay. This is so essential in chess. Yes, so I think I'm gonna play bishop to c6. This way I control everything, defend all of the squares, and I'm ready to continue with my plan. Even if he switches to this plan back, I mean, this pawn would be vulnerable in some variations. This is, I don't know, something like rook b8 and takes might be interesting, because I'm going to attack the b2 pawn at the end of the day. You cannot easily attack on both sides of the board in chess. Typically, you need to choose one area of the board where you think you are stronger and your opponent is weaker, and then be consistent with it. Because if you make one move here, one move there, the chances you're not going to achieve anything. All right, let's see. Also, the entire pressure is on my opponent here. He has developed all of his pieces, so he feels like he should be better. He should, you know, create some threads, be very active, but he can't. I mean, there is nothing that is super scary for me. Again, I think this is like the only really active plan, because the e6 pawn might be vulnerable there, but I should be able to handle it. I could have also just taken the pawn on a4. I normally never consider such moves, but now that I think about it, I would have won the tempo, would have been able to play g5 afterwards. So that was indeed possible. He struggles to find the move, and this is arguably one of the biggest advantages of the Sicilian defense. It's an aggressive opening. You go forward from the very beginning, and it's not easy for your opponent to figure out what to do, what kind of a plan to choose. And this is your main task in chess, to make your opponent's life as difficult, as miserable as possible. Then the chance that he's gonna make a mistake increases a lot. All right, my opponent actually plays the move f4 and offers me a draw, which I never ever accept. I can still somehow lose the game. I cannot stop it. So b4, knight a2 is still not great. My pawn is under attack. f5 is coming. I mean, g6, of course, helps in terms of opening up the g file, but he's gonna play g3. That's what I was thinking about. And then this rook is opened. My pawn is attacked 3 times. If I play e5, then this pawn here is hanging. So, yeah, should have played g5 and I had this chance. But okay, I still don't take the draw. I have to continue playing. If I don't take on f5, that helps because at least this rook is closed. And then it's only one time under attack, but still not really comfortable. g5 doesn't help because he doesn't take. That would help me. He just plays f5 anyway. So how do I solve this problem? Finally found a way to take advantage of his extra space here and pieces development. Maybe actually I was wrong about placing my king on c7. Maybe it should have gone to e7. Like I wanted to play g5 and develop the bishop here, and the king would be great on e7, just defending that pawn. I think I was too fast to place it on c7. Well, one solution I have that I haven't actually thought about before is just to play bishop d7. Now that I have my bishop on c6, I have an opportunity to go to d7, and that would protect that pawn and this pawn simultaneously, so everything would be protected. And meanwhile, I can develop my stuff further with bishop e7. I like the move bishop e7 comparing to the move g5 because it's faster. You normally want to develop your pieces as fast as possible. And one thing I have thought about, if I would have played g5, he goes f5, I play bishop d7, he takes, and then he plays rook f1, and he wants to play rook f7. I'm not in time to play rook f8, right? And here, if he plays f5, we go the same line, he takes and plays rook f1, I'm in time to play rook f8 and solve all of my problems. Or alternatively, also bishop f6 is on my agenda, and the bishop would be really good here. I like it. I think I have found a very good solution. Like, king to d7 is also an option, but first, I don't like the fact that I'm just losing time because I played king c7 a move ago. And second, yeah, there is this spin along the d file again, which might be a little bit annoying. I don't see how it's a problem immediately, but just have a bad feeling about it. Maybe one thing that he can try is remaneuvering his knight to d4. Let's say he plays f5, I play bishop e2, bishop d7, and he goes knight e2 with an intention to go here. That is quite annoying. Although at that point I could just take the pawn on f5 twice, I don't know, bring my bishop there. That has to be quite active. My pawn structure is not perfect, but I'm gonna open up the position. Wow, knight d5, check. That is really good, something I completely missed, but I like it. I mean, it's not great for me, but I'm just happy for my opponent that he found such a move. That's because, I mean, it's a typical idea in the Sicilian, but because I just started to play this open, which feels weird because I actually played for like a year or something. But still, I mean, there are so many different interesting ideas here that it's not simple. And this 95 is a very typical sacrifice, which I here missed. Again, it's not like it's a big problem, but I shouldn't have missed it. So the idea is if I take it, he takes back, and then he attacks both of the bishops. I can play bishop to h4, attacking the rook. He has to play g3. And then I can bring my bishop somewhere back, but like he takes. He's a pawn up, but those pawns are really horrible. But also I don't think I'm really playing for a win. Although maybe I'm wrong. So takes, bishop h4, g3, bishop d7, takes. I play rook e8, fighting for the e file. I mean, this bishop is so stupid. This pawn is very bad. And I can remaneuver my king all the way to c5, where it's gonna attack that pawn. It's actually difficult for him to like do anything productive. The alternative is to play king to d8. I cannot go to d7 because of the fork, but I can go to d8, and then this knight is really under attack. He's gonna go back, that's okay for me, so probably he wants to take. I take it. And then we have this endgame, which is again fine. My king is in the right place, but I don't have the bishop's advantage anymore, so I'm not actually better. Let's go for this line. This feels like the most active option, and that is normally what I'm always trying to play. Here, of course, I have an alternative. I can just go here and then take there, but it's like, I don't know, this rook is coming. I don't like it. So let's play bishop h4. After g3, by the way, I can also just take the pawn. That would bring me the pawn back, but again, it allows this rook e7 move. After I play bishop d7, then this pawn is hanging. Maybe it's not a big deal, because I can still play rook f8 and then rook e8 next move. But I kind of lose the momentum a little bit. I'm not a pawn down, on the other hand, which is a very nice thing. Yeah, let's... wait, he can play rook to e7 immediately, but bishop d7 he still has to take, and then that's the same thing. Yes, I can do that. But I think there was nothing wrong with bishop d7 immediately and then rook e8. I think I have a very good compensation, because he has a horrible pawn structure. This bishop is stupid. But like, this bishop is stupid anyway, and all I'm losing is just one tempo. But now I'm not any material down. Everything is equal. And I just need to survive this little difficulty with the rook on e7, and hopefully, even if he plays rook e1, I can still play rook to e8, and if I exchange all of the rooks and go into the bishop's endgame, I would be much better thanks to this weakness on d5. Yes, he actually goes for it. I think it helps. Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to exchange, but then I take, or even just play king to d8 immediately, attacking that rook. And either he has to exchange, or he loses the fight for the e-file. Yes, he plays c4. Do I take, and do I just... probably just king to d8, right? Well, he can still go back, but that doesn't really change anything. I take it and play rook e8. b5 pawn is protected, so I have nothing to worry about. I didn't want to take. That would be, by the way, a horrible mistake. If I take here, he has to move bishop a4, and my bishop is pinned and under attack. That is not what I want to get. So always and always be careful with your opponent's opportunities. Don't just assume the obvious, like he played c4, I take it, he takes it back. No, try to think about all of the active opportunities your opponent has. Checks, captures, and threats. But also just strategically, I don't want to take it. Why would I do that? He can take himself. I don't need to waste time with that. Okay, we do go for this endgame. Probably I want to take with the bishop, so that my king can go here faster, because here I don't really have anything to do. Where I want to get is this c5 square. And he probably wants to place his pawn on b4 so that he can stop me from doing, or his king on d4. That is actually something I forgot about. So my advantage here is that I can create potentially a passer, and that should help me. And of course, this stupid pawn. Okay, I think I should come with the king, because even if he does come here, I can still try to come to b4, and yeah, my king would just be more powerful. I'm thinking that I should be a little bit careful, like not to lose the opportunity to create a passer somehow. Maybe play f6 and g5. That would secure that option. But first, yeah, first the king. I think I can just play king a5, because if I can get to a b4 with the tempo, that would be great. I also attack the pawn. And if he at some point takes, that helps me to improve my bishop, so also not a problem. Notice that this d6 pawn is beautiful. It's like stops my opponent's king, so I have nothing to fear. Just as I said that, I notice he can play c5, which he completely blundered. Ah, no, it's okay. I have king b4. that happens. So c5 strategically would be a huge danger for me. If I have to take, then this king comes, and this is like a huge problem, a huge improvement for my opponent anyway. But I have this move king to b4, attacking the bishop and attacking the pawn. And if he plays c6, I can still grab the bishop, because if you play c7, I have bishop d7 stopping it. All right, so that's all fine. Here I cannot play king b4, because then b6 actually wins the game, so I have to take it. But I'm still in time to play king b4. I mean, he can play king c3 and stop me, but then he goes back, which is also fine. I can... Okay, he actually goes for the pawn endgame. Isn't the pawn endgame winning for me? Like, I understand he has this passer, but I also have a passer, and my passer is like more dangerous, isn't it? Unless I'm blundering some draw, but I think it's winning for me. Well, first of all, I can just ignore it, right? And just go for it, but then he has an opportunity to go back and change his mind. Or maybe play b3. Yeah, I want to take it. And now, what is the best way to create a passer? Probably g6, h5, f6. Somehow I'm worried that I'm blundering something, but like the foundations of chess tell me if you have a outside passer, you are always winning. As long as he cannot like make progress, but he plays b4. I can't even play king to a4 actually. He plays b5, I play king a5 back, and this is just a weakness for him. His king cannot move. So b4, king a4. And otherwise, the only thing he can do is go back. But again, because this pawn is always a weakness, I will, if he ever wants to come to the king side, I will always come to d5 square and attack this pawn, grab the pawn, and still would be easily able to stop the b pawn and create a passer for myself. So it feels like it's completely winning for me. And this happens so often when low-rated players, they play pretty fine the entire game, but once the endgame happens, they just collapse. Endgame is just more complicated in chess. Yeah, my opponent struggles to understand what's going on, what he has to move. Yeah, that move I was actually thinking about, because if I take, I have this crippled pawn structure, but I can play f4 immediately afterwards, giving the pawn back and creating this passer. I think it's good for me. Or maybe start with the move h5, we will see. Yes, he's going there. I might even start with the move. I don't know, because after f4 he can play g4. So let me start with the move king to b4. So that maybe I was a little bit wrong about it. But he's never in time to like... He can take on f5, but he's never in time to take the f7 pawn. And otherwise, that should be good for me. The question is, which move do I make? Because if I go here, he has king to e4. Maybe I play h5. He goes here, I play somewhere, and he is not in time. Or is he? Yeah, I'm actually not sure. Maybe start with king d6, king d4, sorry. Because that move is not allowing him to do anything, like b4 just helps me. Maybe b4 is still possible. Because he's gonna play king e4, I take here, he plays king to d5, and he's still in time. So maybe after b4 I have to play h5, so that I'm faster with my... Yeah, I should have taken on f5, that gave him a chance. Probably I should have just played h5. I hope I didn't spoil it. That was 100% completely winning. I hope it's still winning, but I'm not sure anymore. g4. g4, what was my plan now? Probably king c4, I don't know. Running out of time. Yeah, but g4 helps, because now I'm not going to be able to sacrifice my pawn and create this h passer. Yeah, probably I should have played. Probably I should have played h5. That was my best chance. Now the problem is I cannot create a passer, and passer is everything in chess. If I can... Yeah, he just goes for that. Takes... If I would be able to play f5 and still get back to catch this pawn, that would be winning, but I unfortunately I'm not. b4, takes, b5, king e6, b6, king d7. Oh, it feels like I'm still in time. But he's also in time, he's gonna just take. Gonna just take the d4 pawn and he's in the square. Wait, what? Now I can just take. What are you doing? I'm in the square. Yeah, we are going to analyze the game because it's super interesting. But yeah, I think I spoiled it in the moment where I took on f5. Into 6. Yeah, now my opponent can just resign. You always want to eliminate as many pawns as possible. That gives you many more chances, and he didn't. So here you have it. Definitely not one of the best games I have played, but still very, very instructive. My opponent made a brilliant move. Let's dive into it. So in the beginning, everything starts well here, and my opponent played bishop e3, which is indeed one of the possible ways to go, and then knight g4 is completely fine. He can take here, but that's never a problem. He played bishop b5, which allows knight x3, and here black is already better, so that's what I have told you. Of course, it's not winning or anything, but this is a very good outcome of the opening. We are better from the very beginning. And then a6 was okay, e6, b5, bishop b7, all of that is good. King to c7 is not great. Curious if g5 was a move here. Yeah, g5 was a very good choice, or just king to e7. Yeah, pick the right square. It just feels a little bit counterintuitive, but if you know your bishop is going here anyway, then it's not a big deal. The advantage is huge. This pawn on e6 is protected. All right, a4, bishop c6, takes, f4. I'm still better here. Bishop e7 is fine, and knight d5 is a brilliant move. Yes, there is no advantage for white, but the move is still good. Okay, bishop h4 is correct. Bishop takes g3. Yeah, so I basically have done everything well here, have got an equal endgame, but practically I would argue it's easier to play as black thanks to those weaknesses. Yet, of course, my opponent has this easy way to bring his king on d4, where the king feels pretty comfortable. King to a5 is indeed a mistake. Oh my god, c5 was working. Yeah, so I felt it, but I thought, okay, king b4 saves me. I didn't have enough time to think about it because my opponent took it. But actually, that is still winning for white. Even though I win an pawn, it seems like it's great, but I'm too passive over here. Like, if I would have the pawn on f6, I was thinking about it during the game, to play f6, that's covering a lot of squares. My pawn on the dark squares is always good. Then I would just take it, and I'm winning. But here, this king is coming forward. And then, yeah, he has this plan of just promoting, and so white is winning. Yeah, king to a5 was too optimistic. f6 was a very, very good move. I mean, there is nothing stopping me from king a5 next move anyway. So it's important, doesn't matter how great your idea is, to think what kind of options your opponent has, and always start with the most active ones. And the only active move my opponent had here was c5. And he should have thought about that, but he quickly took the pawn, which is wrong. Bishop c4 was a huge mistake because the opponent game is losing. At least I have understood that. But this move, no, this move was still good. Okay, so what? That was all correct. So how is it winning? The c5, that is all good. King takes. King d4 is also good. And here I didn't have enough time, so I kind of collapsed. King c4 is not helping me at all. Just h6. Yeah, and if he plays king f6, as I said, he's just not in time to take that pawn. I'm gonna just promote and I still catch this pawn. Exactly. And this pawn is also too slow. Yeah, that was actually simple. Because when my king is on d4, he doesn't have an easy way with his king to go. He can play king to f4, but now I just play d5. I thought his idea should be just to distract myself, but here he's... Wait. I thought he's still in time. Like if I take, he plays that, and that's indeed a draw. And I play d4 check. And then I take the pawn, because if you play here, I can just take and be in time to defend it. And if you play king e4, then I play here, you have to go back, and then I'm just promoting the pawn faster. Yes. h6. I kind of felt it, but didn't have time to calculate, and so I panicked and played king c4. And after king e4, it's still winning for me. So the right move was g5. Wow, this is like super complicated stuff. King e4. And why is it winning? Or how is it winning? d5 was correct. And then again, h6. d4 is a mistake. Yeah, the same line. So if he plays b4, we transpose back to the d4 line. But I was thinking that he can play b3. But then again, I play king to c3 and I promote my pawn. This is actually easy. Yeah, I should have left a little bit more time for myself. Then either f6 or h6 are completely winning here. But d4 spoils the entire advantage. And now I cannot win anymore, but I have used my last chance. Even if you don't have any advantage, you still need to put pressure, because there is always a chance your opponent is going to make a mistake. And he played b5 because he wanted to promote as fast as possible. And he thought that if I'm going to go forward with this pawn, he's still in time to catch it, right? But he completely forgot that I'm in the square, so I don't care about anything. I can just catch this pawn and I have two connected passers and win the game. I hope this video was instructive for you. I would appreciate your feedback. I'm gonna continue playing the Sicilian, showing you different lines and how to beat it. And don't forget to take advantage of the special offer right now with the 10-day opening master, where you get a full month of live coaching with me completely for free. The link would be in the description. And in this video, I show you an amazing and instructive example of how I beat my opponent with the Sicilian defense in a tournament.